Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern. and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to Hillside International Speedway as it plays host to race number 30, playoff race number 4, the start of the round of 12 for the chase towards the championship. Last week, at the conclusion of our Nashville Super Speedway race, we whittled the field down from 16 now to the 12 remaining 4 drivers no longer competing for the championship. They'll look to finish out the season just with as many checkered flags as they possibly can. And last week we had our first playoff driver go to victory lane in a playoff race after we had non-playoff drivers win the first 2 races of the chase. That driver was RJ Bishop. Subsequently, he's going to be coming into this race with a 5-point cushion over everybody else. The 5 bonus points from round 1 carrying over here to round number 2. Getting ready, though, for what should be a very good race here today at Hillside. Hillside has, since the start of the Duracell Cup Series, held this 4th playoff race slot. Ever since Season 1, it has brought about many different winners. It has played its part in certain seasons into drivers advancing into the round of 8. And we'll see if maybe it will do the same here today at the conclusion of our 80-lap feature. Let's take a look real quickly here at your point stage and playoff points coming to this race. We won't dwell on it too much because obviously the points get reformatted to 3,000 plus whatever bonus points you carry over from round 1. So RJ Bishop, 5 points over the other 11 drivers that made it in. Nick Gunther, 4-time winner. Michael Norman, Charles Sanford, Al Aliera, Destin Bolin, Keith Batson, Mitchell Collins, Kyle Matthews, Jack Dunnard, Laura Chung, and Quentin Moore are the remaining participants. The drivers that got eliminated last week: Zachary Fitzwater, Ryan Butcher, Will Hoer, and Rick Johnson. Also noticing, though, that a lot of the drivers that not only are not in the playoffs, but also are way down the point standings, they have really stepped things up in terms of qualifying the last couple of weeks, and look no further than our top 3 starters here today. Anthony McCurry capturing his 3rd pole on the season. It's an all-Fortnite squad racing front row. But Anthony, he's 38th in points. Carson Gum alongside of him is 37th in points. And then Reese Banks, who's rolling off the grid 3rd place today, is 41st in the point standing. So these are all drivers that are mired down in the cellar as far as our overall points are concerned, and they're just looking to get some good momentum in preparation for Season 7. Highest starting playoff driver is the 4-time winner, Nick Gunther. The Mazda will be rolling off the grid from 4th. We have a lot of our playoff drivers that are starting up here inside or just outside of the top 10. Michael Norman is going to be 6th. Laura Chung is 9th. Jack Dunnard 11th. Charles Sanford 13th. Keith Batson 14th and Ali Lera in 16th. So a lot of them starting with good track position. A couple of drivers could be starting closer towards the rear of the field. Most notable, Kyle Matthews could be rolling off in the 38th position. He's made it here into the round of 12. One of our co-defending champions, the only defending champion that made it into the playoffs. So he's going to have a bit of a high mountain to climb here today. Although Hillside isn't necessarily one of those tracks where it's all about track position, you can work your way from the back to the front here, especially with long green flag runs and potential green flag pit stop strategy intermingled. So we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. But it's time to go down trackside. It's time to get those most famous words in motorsports and go racing here today at Hillside International Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 cars will roll off of pit road behind the Toyota TRD Camry pace car. Right side of your screen, you'll see your starting lineup for today's race. The remaining 12 playoff drivers highlighted in yellow. First time in 4 weeks that we are at a track that we have previously been to on the schedule. Gateway, Chatham, and Nashville Superspeedway, all in round 1, made their debuts on the Duracell Cup Series schedule. We have 3 former winners here from Hillside in the field. Ryan Brommer, the inaugural winner in Season 1. Cody Lamas, the winner here in Season 3. And Dylan Poteet, the winner in Season 4. This was the venue to Andrew Davis last year getting his first career win. So we'll see if we have a first career winner this year as green flag is in the air. And we are racing in playoff race number 4. It's like Anthony McCurry and Carson Gunn, the teammates, were trying to formulate the okie dokie there. Carson tried to tuck down in front of Reese Banks, but Banks kept the nose to the left rear quarter panel, and now he'll move into second place. Samuel Ryder looking to his inside. Those rookies will duke it out for the runner-up spot behind the Turkish Airlines Chevrolet Camaro. Jessica Shelton was third. Laura Chung now looking to the inside. Jack Dunner, Charles Sanford, nose to tail, 3 drivers right there. 3 playoff contenders, the 77, the 88, and the 03. Number of drivers last week made it into the round of 12, but didn't have the best of performances. Kind of got in either by the skin of their teeth or had enough buffer points between themselves and the cut line that they were able to advance. Charles Sanford was one of those drivers, finished way down in the running order. So look at a rebound here today because we talk about it from regular season into the first round of the playoffs and from each round of the playoffs into the next. You want to have good positive momentum. Jack Dunnard led that lap. Laura Chung led the lap prior, and now Charles Sanford is trying to see if he can lead a lap. The bonus point for a lap led could be very important for the playoff drivers, depending on what happens between now and our second elimination race. Jesse Turner right behind Ryan Butcher, who gave it a heck of a try last week. Tough breaks at both Gateway, where they had either a cylinder go down or just a bad adjustment and finished way down towards the bottom of the running order, and then of course hit the pit wall at Chatham, put them in a must-win situation last week and finished 10th. Fought his way up through the field, but just couldn't get up there into the front pack. As Quentin Moore, a playoff driver, now going to move up here to the front. We had 7 rookies start off the playoffs this season, the most we've ever had. 2 of them eliminated, actually correction, 3 of them eliminated in the first round. So we are now down to 4 rookies remaining. Quentin Moore, Destin Boland, Jack Dunnard, and Laura Chung being those 4. So the odds of a rookie winning the championship have dwindled a bit. It's now a 1 out of 3 chance. And there is one of those other rookies, Destin Boland, the 3-time winner. And he's going to lose the lead to Reggie Fogelman. I mentioned the fact that it's not that difficult for a driver to work their way from the back to the front. You can see how it's been very difficult for anybody to hold on to the race lead. And I noticed Kyle Matthews in the 09. He is, I believe, the 7th car on the inside line right now, working his way up here to the front. There's RJ Bishop, last week's winner. Now 2-time winner on the season, RJ Bishop. And subsequently, because of his win back in the first round, the points leader of the playoffs here in round 2. Only by 5 points, but a lead is still a lead. Didn't lead that lap, though. Keith Batson did, though, in the 39, so that's another playoff driver with a bonus point lap led, as Joshua Osborne moves to the point. It's kind of the domino effect here. You get to the front, immediately get kicked out of line and drop to the back and have to work your way back to the front again. Jose Mills will lead that lap. Cole Deaver looks to his inside. There's Rick Johnson, our Texas winner. Made the playoffs there in his rookie season, but eliminated last week at the conclusion of the Nashville Superspeedway race. And there's our winner from a couple of weeks ago at Chatham, Matt Haas. highest running driver in the point standings that is not a playoff contender. And Kyle Matthews right behind him. Kyle Matthews tries to see if he can get himself a lap-led bonus point. Let's see who wins the battle here. Back to the line as Matt Haas tried to chop the nose. Matthews held tough. Rob Evans pushing him to the front, and Matthews will lead that lap. So that, I believe, is 4. I'll have to double check. I think that's 4 playoff drivers already that have led a lap today. Destin Bolin, Keith Batson, now Kyle Matthews, and Jack Dunnard and Laura Chung. So that's actually 5 playoff drivers that have already led a lap. Benjamin Snyder's going to lead a lap. As here comes Benjamin Miles to the inside. Benjamin Miles started this race shotgun. So what was it? 15 laps to go from last to first here at Hillside. I mentioned the fact it doesn't take a whole lot of time to be able to work your way through traffic. Maybe one of the few tracks on our playoff schedule where track position will not really matter. Talladega, I think, might also be one of those tracks, but regardless, that's super speedways. This is not a super speedway. This is a speedway, high banked speedway. Does have some high speeds, though. Races a little bit like a super speedway, but I can tell you from experience that the shorter way around the racetrack is the top side. And we're going 3 wide. Ooh, this is the first time we've been looking 3 wide up at the front. They're 3 wide about mid-pack here. Reese Banks gets put in the middle. Noah Hendrickson way up top side. And there's one of our former winners, Cody Lamas, working his way up through the field. Cody's been on a good streak as of late. Some good finishes at both Gateway and Chatham. And last week at Nashville Super Speedway. And just ahead of him there is Dylan Pote, another former winner here from Hillside 2 seasons ago. And he's also been on the forward climb in the point standings. Dylan's actually almost back into the top 30 in points. 31st in the standings coming into this race. And pole sitter Anthony McCurry took him 19 laps to get kicked from the lead, drop to the back, and work his way back up to the front. Chris Dollerton, the 43, he had a surprising finish last week. After we had our second round of green flag pit stops, he was up in the, I believe it was 8th position, and stayed up there, finished in the top 10. Had a really good run, so looking to keep that momentum going as the Daytona 500 winner. There's Ali Liera, Nick Gunther, a couple of playoff drivers working their way back up inside of the top 5. Gunther can get by the 16. Now he's the highest running playoff driver. And then there's Michael Norman and teammate Mitchell Collins working their way up there. Mitchell Collins was very impressed with him last week as well. Came into the race below the cut line and ended up finishing up inside of the top 10. Securing himself a spot into this next round. Not sure exactly when these drivers will have to start thinking about coming to pit road, what the fuel window is. But this is a slightly difficult pit road in the fact that you come to pit road entering into turn number 3. And you come off of pit road exiting out of turn number 2. And we've had cautions in the past here where drivers kind of intersect each other with one merging out, one pitting in. They make contact, and more often than not, it usually takes place in the middle of green flag pit stops, which makes things a little bit messy in terms of the upcoming restarts. So we'll see if these drivers will mind their P's and Q's if we do have a round of green flag pit stops. As there's Ryan Brommer, following second behind Destin Bolin, the inaugural winner at this racetrack. Granted, when he won back here in Season 1, he was driving a Dodge. Now 5 seasons later, he's in a Toyota, and looking to have a good run today. Had a mechanical problem last week at Nashville Super Speedway, and we've got a caution. Yellow flag is out for the first time today. We're racing back to the yellow, I do believe, although they're slowing. I think they just took the yellow, actually. Yes, they did. And Brommer was the leader, so they got to get the 87 back around here. Destin Bolin, I think, crossed in second with Shelton and Chung third, fourth, and then Evans in fifth. Yeah, they're all trying to get themselves in the correct order here as pit road is open, and looks like everybody's going to take the opportunity to come down and pit. Caleb Fogler, our winner from a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, there he is on pit road. I just noticed him on the telemetry that looked like he had come to pit road early. I won it from a couple of weeks ago at Gateway. Looks like he is the reason for the caution. Uncertain if anybody else was collected up or not. We're going to follow the 87 of Ryan Brommer, see if the leader is the leader out. That'll be a no. Mitchell Collins is already down and away, as is a couple of others. Reggie Fogelman is in. Might be the 33, might be the leader coming out. Oh, close between Collins and Shelton, and give it to Shelton. Drag race there to the commitment line exiting pit road, and Jessica Shelton wins that battle, and she'll be the one to lead us back to green. Let's go back, take a look at a replay of what put us under this yellow flag. Also saw a little bit of possible right side damage on Fogler's teammate Jose Mills. So it might have been a couple of the Blue Oval Automotive cars involved, and this starts all the way back in turn 2. 4 wide attempt, gone wrong. Mills going to get James Qualls in the left rear quarter panel. Back up the track they come. Reese Banks nowhere to go. And then Noah Hendrickson, Will Hoer. That's all 3 of the Blue Oval Automotive cars right there. The 28, the 38, and the 83. And Fogler got stuck there on the banking apron transition. That's why he had to call the tow truck. But Reese Banks, Noah Hendrickson with damage. James Qualls obviously has to have some damage on the right side. Let's see if we can get another camera angle here real quickly before we go back to live action. Let's see if this gives us a good shot. It was Fogler, Reese Banks, Qualls, and Mills that were in that 4 wide situation, and there's the contact there, and then I think, yeah, Jose Mills gets down in the apron. That shoots him back up the track, and he gets hooked in the right rear by teammate Will Hoer. That's how Fogler's involved, and right there in that shot, that is a team owner's nightmare. All 3 of the Blue Oval Automotive cars involved in this wreck. None of our playoff contenders, from what I was able to see. So that is good news, because we've already seen here in the first round what happens if you end up having a poor performance or a DNF. Puts you in a bit of a situation when you get to that elimination race. Case in point, Ryan Butcher in the must-win situation last week. Don't want to have that happen if you're a playoff driver here today at Hillside, because you never know what could happen in the next 2 weeks. Pace car makes a left-hand turn down onto the apron and towards pit road. Shelton gets us back under green. That's Caleb Fogler trying to catch up here. He was supposed to be on the inside line. Only car off the lead lap. And with that kind of Kyle Busch-ish restart, he's going to actually get around Jessica Shelton, who then says no, no, no. She's going to cross him over and put him a lap down once again. All 42 cars still running. 41 of them on the lead lap. Fogler is the only car 1 lap down at this point in time, as Ryan Brommer, who lost the lead on pit road, going to take it right back on the racetrack. Dustin Bolin going to follow him into second. Samuel Ryder moving into third. And Shelton could have gotten down into the 4th position, but stayed up in that second groove. That allows Ryan Butcher to bypass her for 4th place. Now, last week, while it was important to get the 5 bonus points, it didn't much matter if a playoff driver ended up winning, unless they were below the cut line, which RJ Bishop was not. So he theoretically won his way into the round of 12, even though he was going to make it in on points even if he hadn't won. Here today, though, opportunity for all of our 12 playoff drivers. If they win, they automatically lock themselves into the round of 8. Ooh, almost. Actually, I think there was contact right there between Dylan Young and Ryan Butcher. Butcher tried to close the door, and Dylan Young kept his foot in it. There's one of the drivers that got eliminated last week, Zachary Fitzwater, rookie points leader, 12 points in hand over the car he's chasing right now, Dustin Bolin. Oh, we got a spinner! That was Dylan Poteet I saw there on the bottom of the screen. Caution's out. I couldn't tell who the other car was that was collected with him. Caution is received by leader Dustin Bolin. And oh man, we got a pile up. Someone's upside down. That's Reese Banks. Another car upside down. Noah Hendrickson. Qualls is on the apron. Miles is on the apron. And we got the playoff drivers involved in this. I just saw some damage on the 88 of Jack Dunnard. The hood completely meshed in on the Budweiser Chevrolet. Ali Liera and Mitchell Collins are back here, but I didn't see any damage on those cars. There's some left side damage on Ryan Butcher. Looks like, is that Levi McIntyre? He's coming to pit road. I think these are just drivers making regularly scheduled stops. Was it just Dunnard? Was he the only playoff driver? Oh, our pole sitter Anthony McCurry was in it. There's Reese Banks. He was one of 2 cars, along with Hendrickson, that I saw upside down on their roof. Poteet I saw spun out on the back straightaway. He and somebody else got together and then I think then slid into turn 3, which then involved a lot of other drivers. There's left side damage on Kyle Matthews and right side damage. So they're going to have to beat out both sides of the Kings Island Chevrolet Camaro, clear the tire area. Had a lot of our field come down pit road, but it looks like we had some decide to stay out as well. And we've got some drivers already going back to the garage area, including Benjamin Miles, Benjamin Snyder, and 2 playoff drivers. Jack Dunnard, and we didn't see him because apparently he had already gone to the garage area before we saw it, Quentin Moore. So a couple more rookies having some hardships here in the early going of the round of 12. Let's go back, take a look at a replay, as I just saw Nathan Ormond dive it onto pit road from the 4th position. All right, let's try and figure out what happens here. Dylan Poteet, I know, was part of this. Wonder if he and Quentin Moore get together potentially. Nope. It's Ryan Butcher in the 78 that might get into the wall. No, he gets hooked in the left rear by Samuel Ryder. Ryan Brommer gets hooked. And then watch this as they come back up the track. Oh, there was somebody that piled up there before Poteet even got to turn 3. Oh my gosh, look at that. They just never stopped moving. They never slowed down. There's McCrory. RJ Bishop's back behind that. Don't know if he's involved. There is Banks. There is Hendrickson. Who all was in this? There might have been some of our playoff drivers in the middle of that we didn't see. So how does this actually happen further up is the question. Let's see if maybe the 78 of Ryan Butcher, if we focus on him, maybe that will give us an idea. Yeah, Ryder, I think, thought he was clear, moved up. And yeah, it was Ryan Butcher, was kind of in the middle of the track. Yep, we had more playoff drivers than that. Sanford, I see Nick Gunther. Oh gosh, that's why Quentin Moore was out, because Hendrickson piled in. Will Hoer gets into the back of Anthony McCurry. I think RJ Bishop came to a stop in time. Jessica Shelton was in it. Austin LaPlante was in it. Let's show with the 89 of Quentin Moore. Wreck is already in progress. Laura Chung was behind this. I think she snakes through. Collins gets through. Liera gets through. Keith Batson was in it. So that's another playoff driver. Right there. That's the hit for Quentin Moore that takes him out of the race. Let's take some onboards with some playoff drivers. Let's start with Laura Chung, who I believe was one of the drivers that avoided the wreck. Wow, nice job. Daniel Boyle's just ahead, kind of leading her through. Let's go on board with the Kings Island Chevrolet, Kyle Matthews, who was back in the 35th position. A lot happened up ahead of him before he got to the vicinity. Saw Keith Batson there. He's the one that Jack Dunnard ran into, giving Dunnard his front end damage. And that driver that had nowhere to go was right up near the front of this wreck. Let's taken on board with the 4-time winner Nick Gunther. That second hit right there, Charles Sanford got into Jessica Shelton, so we'll have to find out the damage on the 0-3, another of our playoff drivers. I think that brings the total up to 6 playoff drivers that were involved in this wreck in some way, shape, or form. As we've got some drivers on pit road, getting some damage repair done. And more drivers are back in the garage area. It's continuing to pile up. We've already documented Quentin Moore and Jack Dunnard. Add to that mix Benjamin Snyder, Benjamin Miles, James Qualls, Joshua Osborne, Noah Hendricks, and Reese Banks, and Anthony McCurry. So remember I said that first wreck how it was a team owner's nightmare to see all 3 of the Blue Oval Automotive cars all together in a wreck. All 3 of the Joanna Atwood Motorsports Chevrolets taken out in this most recent caution. We're going to have Will Hoer and Caleb Fogler, teammates, 1 lap down the inside line. Just like that, we go from 42 cars running to only 33 cars running, 31 of them on the lead lap, and a number of them towards the rear of the field we know ended up getting some pretty significant damage, though able to continue on. We'll see if they're going to be up to speed as Destin Bolin, Zachary Fitzwater, Michael Norman, Dylan Young, and Laura Chung as the top 5. We get back underway, second restart of the day, nearing the halfway point here at Hillside. So big opportunity with a number of playoff drivers getting bits and pieces of that for drivers up here at the front, playoff contenders, to maybe win their way into the round of 8. You got 3 of them up in this lead group right here, Boland, Norman, and Chung. As Fitzwater going to go to the lead. Looks like the 83 and 28 held up. Number of drivers back here. Dylan Pote might have been the luckiest driver in that wreck. He got spun out on the apron, but came to a stop there in turn 3, and all that took place was up above him, and he didn't really get any damage. Jessica Shelton, we know she got some front-end damage running into Nick Gunther. You can barely visibly see the little buckle there on the hood, so she might not quite be aerodynamically sound. You saw Cole Deaver, her teammate, kind of blow by her for the 8th position. As Dylan Young now out in front. Let's drop back, see if we can find out who's up to speed, who's not. That was, I believe, the 78 of Ryan Butcher back on pit road. Ali Liera leading this group in the 12th spot. Keith Batson's in this pack. Batson, you can see the rear end damage. They did not actually come to pit road, I don't think, to repair that, as Reggie Fogelman, the 24, is off the pace. He's coming to pit lane. A lot of damage on that machine. But it looks like they decided not to repair the back end of Keith Batson's car. Doesn't seem to really be affecting him too much speed-wise. There's Kyle Matthews, 17th right now for him. Looks like they got both the left and right sides buffered out pretty good. He does have some front-end damage there, so we'll see how up to speed he really is. Mitchell Collins back here. I thought Collins got through the wreck. I thought he and Ali Liera both were able to make their way through the wreck, though he's in 22nd right now. Charles Samper, front and rear end damage. You can see the fuel cell there. They had to take the rear bumper off of his car. He's 24th, and there's RJ Bishop. They took the hood off of his Kroger Mustang. Almost looks like a modified right now. Holding down the 25th position. And Nick Gunther. Did they even repair that car? Front, right side, and rear damage on the Mazda. As now, race leaders are going to catch some traffic. Cody Lamas goes a lap down. Carson Gum goes a lap down. And Michael Norman trying to hold off the Young Motorsports teammates of Dylan Young and Destin Bolin. Or Chung right there. Austin LaPlante in the 48 right there as well. LaPlante has been a pleasant surprise these last couple of weeks. Some really, really strong performances. Almost picked up his first win on the season last week against RJ Bishop. Put a late charge on him, challenged, but couldn't get it done at Nashville Superspeedway. As now Nick Gunther goes a lap down. Will Hoer's about to go a second lap down. We're starting to see here now who are the up-to-speed cars and who are not. And look at this, Laura Chung thought about getting to the inside of Norman for the lead, got caught out by LaPlante, and now LaPlante's going to get to the inside of Norman. Maybe going to try and use Will Hoer as a pick. It will work. Austin LaPlante's going to go to the lead. And the Young Motorsports teammates of Boland and Young will follow through to second and third. This gave an opportunity for Dylan Pote, Cole Deaver, Chris Dollerton, and Zachary Fitzwater to catch up now. Now they're all boxed in, though. Gunther blocking the bottom, Hoer blocking the top. Chung's going to get to the inside of the 55 here. Going to lead Deaver, Fitzwater, and Norman on through. Next car the leaders will catch will be Rob Evans in the 26th position. Closing in, 30 laps to go. Still, I think, a green flag pit stop maybe in store for these drivers. Not sure. For Dylan Young right now, you're trying to keep the 12 car out in front. Destin Boland is the only driver. Well, no, actually you got RJ Bishop as well, but Destin Boland right now is the only up-to-speed playoff driver that you've got. You want to advance him into that round of 8 if you can, but at the same time, Dylan Young doesn't have a victory this season, so he would certainly want to battle his teammate to be able to put a 1 in the win column. Dylan 19th in points. He's the third highest driver that is not a playoff driver in the point standings. And LaPlante right behind him there in the 48 car. Another strong performance here. Especially with the fact that Jack Dunnard currently looks like he could be in a bit of a predicament with his DNF early in this race. The only driver that Northeast Motorsports has in the playoffs. And right now, really the only Northeast Motorsports driver, LaPlante, that's even in contention of being up here at the front. Jack Dunnard's out of the race. We keep seeing Reggie Fogelman coming off and on pit road, trying to keep that thing up to speed. And then Benjamin Miles is out of the race, so LaPlante's the only shot right now for Northeast Motorsports to get a checkered flag here at Hillside. Chris Dollerton, though, he and his teammate Michael Norman now working their way up here. They broke up the Young Motorsports Fords. Ooh, that's close right there. Oh, no, Dustin Boland up into Austin LaPlante as they were trying to avoid the Reggie Fogelman machine. Oh, and now Boland's going to get hit. That was Ali Liera, another playoff driver. And now Jesse Turner's up and over. Levi McIntyre's involved. And this has shades of almost kind of what happened back at Chatham for the driver of the 12. Caution is out. You remember Destin Boland was running up inside of the top 5 at Chatham. I think he was the leader, actually. And he ended up trying to come to pit road, crossed over the nose of Dylan Poteet, who wasn't pitting. Got involved in a wreck with Michael Norman and subsequently DNF'd. This time, he and LaPlante get together because they were trying to avoid Reggie Fogelman, who was coming back up onto the track. And Levi McIntyre and Jesse Turner, Ali Liera all get collected up in it as well. Let's go back and take a look at it there. Oh, that's a tough break for Boland and LaPlante because both of them, very much so, looked like they were going to be in the conversation for the victory here today if things had remained the way they were going. I feel like this was just a reactionary move by Destin Boland, not knowing where the 24 was going to be. Watch this. 24 is there. Boland moves up. LaPlante may have moved down. And I thought that the way that the car was migrating down the track, Boland was going to be off the racing surface, but he stops right there, and there's nowhere for Ali Liera, Levi McIntyre, or Jesse Turner to go, and Turner becomes the third driver up and on his roof here today at Hillside. I believe Turner, McIntyre, and Liera were all 11th, 12th, and 13th at the time. How significant is the damage on the 16? Ugh. Right there, just the transition, the banking to the apron there for Jesse Turner is what flips him over. Well, Turner, we're being told, is out of the race. We'll wait for updates on the other drivers collected in. Destin Boland's back down pit road in the 12 to get some more damage repaired, as Chris Dollerton elected to stay out under this caution, surprisingly enough. While most everybody else was on pit road. Did have a couple of other drivers stay out here as well. Ryder, Voyle, Sanford, I believe they all stayed out. And we're going to have a lot of lap cars on this inside line here as well, as we close in on 20 laps to go here at Hillside. Carson Gum, Rob Evans, Nick Gunther, Cody Lamas, Caleb Fogler, looks like Ali Liera, Ryan Butcher, Destin Boland, Will Howard, Carson Gum, Reggie Fogelman. Those are going to be the drivers that'll be on the inside line here, anywhere from 1 to 9 laps down. Turner is the only driver that's going to be out of the race after what we just saw. Dollerton the leader, Ryder second, Voiles third. Highest playoff driver is going to be Charles Sanford in fourth. Cole Deaver fifth, and Ormond, Norman, Chung, Collins, and Fitzwater. That's the top 10 as we get ready to go back green. Dylan Young, lengthy pit stop for the 2 car. We'll follow up on that as he'll be starting last car on the lead lap in the 21st position. Chris Dollerton going to clear around the top side of Carson Gum, put him in the rearview mirror and try to drive away. Samuel Ryder gets by the lap traffic as well into second. Daniel Voiles will do the same in third. Now Sanford is off the pace, so let's see if he's going to be able to clear those cars or if he's going to box in 5th place on back. He will get clear, but just how up to speed is that Reese Chevrolet? Carson Gum's very slow. I don't see a lot of damage on that machine. So either he's down on power or there's something internally there that happened that we don't know about. As, oh boy, 3 wide stacked up in the slow car of Reggie Fogelman. He's going to get spun off the nose of Rob Evans. Gets turned back around, but we've got a wreck up at the top of the racetrack. Lawrence Chung was in that, Mitchell Collins, and several more. Migrating from the top to the bottom, Dylan Young. There's Nick Gunther involved. Destin Boland is smoking. Gunther and Young are beached there on the apron. McIntyre in it again. I saw someone else further up here smoking. That's Cody Lamas. Not much protecting the engine there with the whole hood and front bumper gone. Caleb Fogler, I can't tell if he's smoking or if he's just running behind Cody. Cautions, breeding cautions. Ali Liera's on pit road. There's Destin Boland. His day is done. Ooh, there's going to be only a handful of playoff drivers that are going to get away with decent finishes in this one, it would appear, as Dollerton leads us back to the yellow. Let's go back and see what all transpired there. I think there's going to be a lot to look at, and I don't necessarily think that it all started with what we saw there, the contact with Fogelman and Evans. I think something transpired further up afterwards that had nothing to do with this. Not sure why Reggie Fogelman's still out there on the track. That car is so off the pace. He keeps coming down pit road and coming back onto the racetrack. Rob Evans was not going to lift for the 24, who I think was trying to come back down pit road again. Spins him out and never comes back up the track. Oh, it's up ahead. You saw Laura Chung in the 77. I believe is the car that gets hooked in the right rear quarter panel and leads to all that. Was that a 4-wide situation? And again, that could have actually been some stack up there, potentially, with what happened with Evans and Fogelman. No, not really. She just runs really low into the corner. There's Poti, Collins, Fitzwater, Will Howard, Deaver up and over, flipping, barrel rolling end over end. Rob Evans and Caleb Fogler get together further up. Gunther's car almost tips over. another look here. About 2 or 3 different wrecks that took place there. All around the same vicinity. I think Michael Norman gets involved in this. He gets sandwiched up into the wall. Ormond is in it. There's where Dustin Bolin got involved. He gets Mitchell Collins, and then Ali Lear almost went up and over frontwards, almost like a front flip. Right up against her teammate Zachary Fitzwater. We're going to only have maybe less than half the field left when all is said and done. That was a wild ride there for Cole Deaver. Let's watch that. Oh, wow. Just sandwich squeezed right up into the outside retaining wall. Comes back down the track. There you see Ali Lear almost go up and over. Dustin Bolin already had the damage when he got into Collins. Now what happens further up here with Dylan Young and others and Cody Lamas? Let's see. Let's focus on 13. Oh, he gets Fitzwater. There's where Evans gets hooked by Fogler. Oh, Nick Gunther almost got through it, but then he gets hit in the passenger side door by Rob Evans. That sends him down under that apron to banking transition. Dylan Young there. Levi McIntyre involved. Don't think we'd have a list long enough to be able to show you all the drivers that were collected up. But we do know that there's a lot less playoff drivers that got through this than were collected. As we're going to take one more look, we're going to focus on the 2 of Dylan Young, 99 of Levi McIntyre here. McIntyre gets in the back of Fogler. And then Dylan Young's going to spin him around there and slide down the banking. Jessica Shelton. Well, she actually got to keep going because Levi McIntyre punted her in the back end and got her back up onto the off the apron. Now caution's out for what's the 4th time today. And a lot more drivers back in the garage area. We'll document them when we come back from this commercial break here from Hillside. Welcome back to Hillside International Speedway as we are working our 4th caution of the day. Big wreck at the front of the field, taking out a majority of our front runners and a number of playoff contenders. The list is still compiling here as teams are frantically trying to get their cars back out there. If they can do that, they're probably going to finish inside the top 20, if not top 15. When we get that official list, we will let you know. Chris Dollerton, the race leader. Samuel Ryder in 2nd. Daniel Voiles 3rd. Charles Sanford and Austin LaPlante right now are your scored top 5. The current list we've got right now of those that are out of the race: Nathan Ormond, Cole Deaver, Zachary Fitzwater, Will Hoer, Cody Lamas, Caleb Fogler, and then a couple of playoff drivers: Ali Liera, Destin Boland. Still waiting for word on Nick Gunther, who we know was involved in the wreck. Laura Chung as well. I believe Chung's been able to continue. Michael Norman's been able to continue. We know that they got bits and pieces of it, as we're doubled up and ready to go back green with 15 laps to go. Trying to wait for everything to cycle its way out so I can tell you how many cars are actually still running. I think just eyeballing it, we've got 25 drivers, I believe, that are still running. Right now, 16 of them currently scored on the lead lap. Green flag back in the air for the Houston Bearcats. The Sam Houston Bearcats, I should say. Ford Mustang of Chris Dollerton. He's going to again put the lap car of Ryan Butcher very quickly away. Samuel Ryder looks to do the same. Daniel Voiles looking around the outside. There's LaPlante in the 48 back up there in the 5th position. Saw him get together with Destin Boland. Still sporting that right side damage after getting up into the wall. But that car looks like it's still pretty sporty. Trying to make his way back up into the top 5 as there's the hindrance of Reggie Fogelman back on the track again. More of a moving chicane than anything. That car is obviously not up to speed. I can understand why they've got him still out there. Right now, Reggie Fogelman could be in line for a 24th place finish. But at the same time, not sure the other drivers are all that thrilled about him being out there. Right now, based off of the list of drivers out of the race, drivers heading into next week's race at Lime Rock that will potentially be below the cut line would be these 4: Ali Liera, Destin Boland, Jack Donard, and Quentin Moore. And then, of course, 2 weeks from now, we're at Arizona Speedway for our second elimination race. Samuel Ryder closing up on Chris Dollerton. We've had a lot of rookies go to victory lane this season and had a lot of drivers get their first career wins as well. Mentioned that this was the venue last year where Andrew Davis picked up his first career victory. That was for KAB Racing Enterprises in the number 93 car. And right now, the highest running KAB Racing Enterprises car would be team owner Keith Batson. I'm sorry, correction, that is Samuel Ryder right there in the 63, actually, in second place. So maybe lightning would strike twice with KB Racing Enterprises car getting its first career victory as a driver in back-to-back seasons here at Hillside. Batson is, however, running well. He's in the 10th position. Kyle Matthews is up there in 8th. Charles Sanford holding down the, well, now down to 9th. He was in 4th, but looks like he got past there this last lap. Laura Chung is still soldiering on in 12th. RJ Bishop in 13th. And Michael Norman right now, he might be a car that we'll see momentarily. He is quite a ways off the pace, although he is the last car on the lead lap in the 16th position. Yeah, I think we'll see Michael Norman in this next lap or two getting put -1 by his teammate, Chris Dollerton. Nick Gunther, Rob Evans. This is not for position. Rob Evans is 1 lap down. Nick Gunther is 2 laps down. Fogelman back on pit road. Where is the 22? Did he already get lapped? Did I miss that? Oh, there he is. I guess he already got lapped. I didn't even see him get put a lap down. So now Rick Johnson is a driver on the tail end of the lead lap, and he's got about half the track between himself and Chris Dollerton in the 15th position. How about the blue ovals right now? 1, 2, 3. Actually, they've got the whole top 5. Jose Mills is 4th and Keith Batson is 5th. Uh-oh, this is a bit of a predicament here. Nick Gunther going to yield the inside line to the race leaders. He'll go a 3rd lap down. Rob Evans will go a 2nd lap down. Mitchell Collins is 1 lap down. Michael Norman now 1 lap down. Gunther is now 3 laps down. Collins about to go a 2nd lap down right here. That's a teammate right there, the 43, going around the top of him, so might try and play a little bit of defense for Dollarton. Reggie Vogelman's still out there logging laps. He's trying to get by Destin Bolin and Aliera to work into the top 30. Charles Sanford fighting here with Austin LaPlante. That's for 6th. Kyle Matthews there, going to move on by. Jose Mills there in the 38. A lot of this group getting shuffled up when they encounter traffic. Matt Haas up here, our Chatham winner. Last time by scored in 7th. This race has flown by here ever since we went back green. We're about to get the white flag. I'm not going to miss it this time like I did last week at Nashville Superspeedway. White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go for Chris Dollarton. That's a teammate Rick Johnson right up ahead. That's holding him up, and Daniel Voiles closes in. Johnson goes to the top. Dollarton. Oh no, Daniel Voiles is going to get to the inside here after Rick Johnson's going to cost his teammate Daniel Voiles. He's going to be a 2-time winner. Voiles is going to win in a last lap pass here at Hillside. Oh, trouble in the Michael Norman Motorsports camp as Chris Dollarton had this race pretty handily. And teammate Rick Johnson blocked him, forced him to the top. Daniel Voiles says thank you very much. He goes to the inside, and Daniel Voiles, after what was a really tough second half of the regular season to try and get himself back up in the top 30 in points, was unsuccessful. Despite having a win at North Wilkesboro, he's going to get his 2nd win of his Duracell Cup Series career, 2nd win of the season here today at Hillside Raceway. Now, we knew traffic was going to play a factor, didn't know it was going to play that much of a factor, and Daniel Voiles, well done to him. 41st in the point standings for Daniel Voiles, the lowest driver in points with a victory. But here today, he can call himself a multi-time winner, joining the ranks of R.J. Bishop, Nick Gunther, Destin Bolin, Keith Batson, and Mitchell Collins. Fords all, with the exception of Nick Gunther. All the other former 2-time winners, now including Voiles, out of the Ford Mustang camp. Standings should be official. 89 1,002nd between Voiles and Samuel Ryder, who almost picked up his first career victory. Another solid outing for the 63 team. Dollarton's going to have to settle for 3rd. It'd be some words exchanged between himself and Rick Johnson when this one's over. Keith Batson will be the highest finishing playoff driver. Well done to him. 4th place. And Austin LaPlante comes back after he was involved in a wreck with Destin Bolin while they were battling for, I think it was 3rd place at the time. He's going to get another top 5 run. 5th place for him. Jose Mills in 6th. How about Ryan Brommer there in 7th, the inaugural winner of this race back in Season 1, gets a 7th place performance. Kyle Matthews, playoff driver, gets 8th. Matt Haas there in 9th. Laura Chung, another playoff driver, 10th. Another playoff driver in R.J. Bishop, hoodless and all. He's going to get 11th. Jessica Shelton there in 12th. And Rick Johnson managed to stay on the tail end of the lead lap in 13th place, but to the expense of Chris Dollarton. Charles Sanford, he did finish a lap down in the closing stages, but he'll get 14th, and Michael Norman there in 15th. So a lot of your playoff drivers surviving up inside of the top 15. We got Batson, Matthews, Chung, Bishop, Sanford, and Norman. So they'll have some kind of a cushion. I don't know if it'll be a good one, but they'll have a cushion between themselves and 8th in the standings heading into next week. Rest of your playoff drivers, where'd they finish? Mitchell Collins, he was 18th. Nick Gunther, he was 22nd. And he was the last playoff driver to finish this race. Again, as we look down here at the bottom of the finisher results, pretty easy to tell who the 4 drivers will be below the cut line when we head into next week at Lime Rock. It's going to obviously be Destin Bolin, Ali Liera, Jack Dunnard, and Quentin Moore. Question is, though, how many points will they have to make up? What will the gap be from them to, I would assume Nick Gunther would be in the 8th seed heading into next week. We'll have to wait and have to find out. But Hillside, that's why it's here in the playoffs, because it always seems to shake things up, whether it be for the race victory as it was here on the final lap, or whether it be for who's going to be in what scenario heading into the final 2 remaining races of the round of 12. But thank you all for tuning into today's race. Congratulations to Daniel Voiles on his second victory of his career, second win of the season. If you enjoyed today's race, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We showed you the full finish results. You're now looking at your point standings. Next week, it's the winding elevation road course of Lime Rock, setting us up for our second elimination race at Arizona Speedway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.